So we're talking about dividing decimals, and to do that I want to show you real quick. If I was going to be making a salsa, let's suppose I need some ingredients, and if I tell you that I need 1/10 of peppers of what I already have of tomatoes, right here what you're going to be doing is dividing by powers of 10 to find that. The same thing happens if I just want 1/10 of the onions from what I already have of the peppers. Then I gotta make this smaller. So this is exactly how it happens. You're dividing things by powers of 10. So let's look in here some examples for dividing decimals. Okay? So we have, let me get my pen. We have the question that I'm asking here for the salsa. If I say I have 25.5 pounds of tomatoes and 1/10 of those as many onions and 1/100 of the pounds as many peppers, then you're dividing by powers of 10. So this is what you're going to be finding out. For 1/10 as many onions means you got to move your decimal to the left. So you're going to have 2.5. The decimal will be there. It'll be 2.5 pounds of onions. But if it was for the peppers, which is 1/100, then I would have to move my decimal 2 times. So it would end up here, which would be 255 thousandths, so way less than that. Now let's look at decimals, okay? Let's look at this question, see if you can answer it by yourself, right here. Let's see. Right there. Marcus bought apples that cost 4,500 cents per pound. He paid $1.35 for the apples. How many pounds of apples did he buy? Is it A, B, C, or D? Can you see the answers there? Okay, I'll give you a second for you to work that out. And then I'm going to do it on the board to see if we could do it together, okay? So here we go. Here is how I'm gonna set it up. The 45 that I have here per pound is going to be my divisor. And whenever I divide, my divisor goes on the outside and my dividend goes inside the house. And in this case, I have a decimal both on the outside and on the inside. So all I have to do is move my decimal over to make it a whole number. That means I am multiplying by powers of 10. Because I moved it over twice, I got to do it here too. I multiply it by 100th, I got to do it here too. Now I got rid of my decimals. And now I can do it normally. 45 goes into 135 3 times. Let's check that. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 4 is 12. And the one that I carried is 35. And that was correct. Okay? So the answer that you should have gotten in this case should have been C, 3 pounds. Okay? 3 pounds because you had to move your decimal in here 2 places. See that? Because you got to make that a whole number. And whatever you did to the left, you got to do to the right. So you move it over. Okay? So now let's look at the other example right here. And I have the same situation where I have decimal on both sides. So this is your divisor. And it goes on the outside of your house. Okay? And then I'll make my house here. And I'll put my dividend inside. And then I'm going to move my decimal. There's only one place. So I then multiply it by a tenth. 1 over. Now, because I multiply by a tenth on this side, then I can only do a tenth on that side. So my decimal ends up here next to the 5. So that means I'm going to bring it up here. Okay? So now I go 5 goes into 5 0 times. 7, not 5. 7 goes into 5 0 times. 7 goes into 56. 8 times, and we know 8 times 7 is 56. So the answer to that is going to be 8/10, okay? And the way I did it again is I moved my decimal, I multiplied times 1 times the 10th, move it over once. Because I moved it over once to make it a whole number, I have to do the same on that side, but it ends up right here, okay? Now let's look at the other problem down here. Okay, and then this one I am dividing and I have zeros in my divisor. Okay, so again, the divisor is going to be on the outside and the dividend on the inside. Okay, what do I do here? I got to move my decimal 2 times. Do you see that? Multiply it times 100. So 1 and 2. Because I did it there, I got to do it here. 1 and 2. Now I got rid of that decimal and I can divide normally. Okay? 6 goes into 12 2 times. 2 times 6 is 12. And I'm going to bring down the 3. And 6 goes into 3 2 times, right? 0 times. Okay? And then I can add a 0 here. Now I can do it. 6 goes into 30. 5 times. 5 times 6 is 30. And now you have 0 remainder in this case. Okay? So the answer on this one is going to be 205. Okay? Let's do one more. This is review. We've already done that at the beginning of the year, but it's still a little hard, so we have to look at it. Here, only I have a 0 down here on my divisor. So I'm going to put my number here, divided by 10, and I move my decimal over 1 time. Well, guess what? I'm going to have to add a 0 because I cannot just move the decimal over and there's no decimal here and get away with it. Whatever you do to the left, you have to do to the right. So in that case, you're going to have to add a 0. So 8 goes into 10 once. 1 times 8 is 8. And I have 2 as a remainder, and then I bring down the 0. Now I go 8, it goes into 20 twice. 2 times 8 is 16, and then I'm going to have a remainder of 4. And you could just put remainder 4, or you can add another 0, and I don't have room here. And then 8 goes into 40. 10, wait a minute, did I do something wrong? 5 times. So your answer would be 125. Okay? All right, there's another video to show you how to do some more of this because these are very hard. And even though it's review, I know that we need to all the review we can get.